Okay, 99% of you in here are not going to think much of this lesson. This is a one-day only thing. I'm grading the assignment. Okay, I mean, if you sandbag it, I'm going to give you a 0 out of 5. Okay, I need to see that you actually tried. But as far as putting it on test, I'm probably not going to do that. This is a one-day only thing. Okay, solve the quadratic equation by completing the square. Okay, solve the quadratic equation by completing the square. Here's the first problem. X squared plus 6x minus 3. There are two answers, but I want you to put the A, B, C, okay? So A, B, C. Now, in the past, you made sure you're equal to 0, did your B squared minus 4AC, then you either did your factoring or the quadratic formula. Well, we're going to do something different today for one day only, okay? To quote, complete the square, okay? This actually works different. You need to move whatever C is over here. So plus 3, make sure your A and B are together here, and you want your C over here, okay? Don't label 0. So now you have 1x second plus 6x equals 3. Then you put your AB, okay? And you're not going to label that C anymore. Okay, so far, let your mind process that. Now, make a parentheses with equals 3, and you're going to put 1x second. If this matches this, you're good to drop your 6x. And we need to get a C. Now, don't put anything in that box, okay? Don't put anything down there. That's for later on. So B, to find your C, it's B over 2 to the second. So that's going to be 6 divided by 2 to the second, which is 3 to the second, which is 9. Okay, now, if I brought in 9 here, okay, I'm going to write that off to the side, 9. There's nothing outside the parentheses because I already had the 1. We need to also bring in 9 to the other side, but instead of bringing in 9 and adding it to y, we add it to 3. Okay? But I can add 3 and 9. I can't add y and 9, but I can add 3 and 9. Okay? So that's 12. So actually just keep that. Now go over and factor this. We'll write 12 here in a second. You can just put equals 12. Now I'm going to put that into factored form. Okay? So 1 times 9 is 9, positive. Sides match. Well, since it has to add to positive 6, I think they probably should both be positive instead of negative. And that'd be 3 times 3, because it's got to be the number times itself. So now I rewrite that side as x plus 3, x plus 3. And then I write that side as x plus 3 to the second power equals 12. So again, let's rewind. I make sure my C's over here. Then I make my parentheses, make sure the 1x, if that had been a 4x squared, you'd have had to divide these by 4 and move 4 outside. But it wasn't, okay? Then I rewrite that. Remember, you brought in a 9, so you add 9 to the other side. And yeah. Now, to solve for x, you're going to make a table because we're going to bring in h. Because now it's in vertex form, h to the second equals 12. Now, over here you put x plus 3 and x plus 3. Now, to undo a second power, you make a square root, but you see 12, not a perfect square. So I start dividing by my list of perfect squares, okay? So here's a perfect square, square root of 4, 9, 16, 25. Now, 12 divided by 9 doesn't work, but dividing by 4 would work. So I write that as 2 square roots, okay? And you were able to, what is 12 divided by 4? It's 3, okay? So the square root of 4 has an equal of 2. So you come over here and you put 2 square root 3. And then on the other side, you're going to put 2 square root 3 with a negative. Now, you're going to minus 3, but if you have a square root over there, you put minus 3 behind it and leave it. Okay? That's 2 square root 3 minus 3. You can't take 2 minus 3 because this 2 is multiplied by a square root. This 3 is not. You just leave it like that. Then the same thing. You just put it behind if there's a square root there. And that's how you write your answer. Negative 2 square root 3 minus 3. Okay? Again, it's a pretty annoying assignment, I will admit that. Okay? Y equals x to the second power plus 12x plus 7. Okay, first you move your c out of here, okay, from the 0, because you're going to get a new c. 0 minus 7 is negative 7. That's your first step. Then make your parentheses. Put 1x squared every time. That's a match, so I might bring minus 12x. Now I find the c by applying opposite of b. Here, I'll write the formula. B divided, or not opposite of b, b divided by 2 to the second, okay? So b is negative 12 divided by 2 to the second. That's going to be negative 6 to the second, and negative 6 times itself is 36, okay? So I go off out here somewhere, anywhere, I'll just go down the corner. I brought in 36, but there's nothing in front of the parentheses, so it's just 36. So if I added 36 here, I got to add it here. But I'm not going to minus the 36 in, because I can dang well add it to negative 7, okay? Negative 7 plus 36 is 29, okay? Then factor that trinomial, 1x squared minus 12x plus 36. So 1 times 36 is 36. Positive. So we know we have to have the same sign. Sign has to be a match. We're adding to negative 12, so I probably want them both as negatives. Now the number that times itself is 36 is 6. So 6, 6. So ditch your 1, don't need it. So you got x minus 6, x minus 6, and that can be rewritten as x minus 6 to the second power equals 29. Well, now you're going to bring in h, okay? And you're going to make your table on that bottom part. In the table, you bring in your expression x minus 6. Okay, square root of 29. I'm not a perfect square, so I'll start dividing. Doesn't divide by 25, doesn't divide by 16, 29 divided by 9 is a decimal, divide by 4 is a decimal, so guess what? We're leaving it as the square root of 29. And then you put the same thing, just put a negative in front, okay? So you add 6, but you put it after, okay? You can't add that. So that's the square root of 29 plus 6. That's all you do, okay? And that's negative in front of the square root, 29 plus 6, okay? Those are the two answers. Okay, my next problem, x to the second power plus 4x plus 2 equals 0. This is a one-day only thing. Grind it out today. I asked for good effort. And A, B, C. Well, in completing the square, we kick out the C. Okay. And we now have 1x to the second plus 4x equals negative 2. Okay, now I make a parentheses, I put 1x to the second, and that's what I have here, so I'm good to drop the 4x down, and that's going to be my AB, and I got to find my C, okay? So B divided by 2 to the second, so 4 divided by 2 to the second, so that's 2 to the second, and that's 4. So you brought in 4, but you don't have anything out here, so it's just 4. So if you add a 4 here, you add 4 here, and negative 2 plus 4 is 2. Now you're like, why don't you move it? Because I can add 4 to negative 2. I can't add to y, okay? All right, so factor it. 1 times 4 is 4, positive 4. You're adding, but so if it's a positive, the sign's got to match, okay? And since I'm adding to positive 4, they probably should both be positive. Just going on a limb there. So it'd be 2 and 2. Okay, A is a 1, ditch it. It's always a 1 and complete the square, at least in my book. X plus 2. So you write that as x plus 2 to the second equals 2. Now, that's the first part. Now, bring in your h. Make your table, and you'll have a place to bring back your x plus 2, but we do have to apply the square root. Square root of 2 is not 1, dude. Okay, square root of 2 is prime, okay? So you can't divide it, so you just put square root of 2, square root of 2. Now you minus, but if there's a square root over there, you put it there, and the answer is, I'll just put it here, the square root of 2 minus 2. Remember, put a negative in front of that one. And then the square root of 2 with a negative in front of it, minus 2. Still minus 2, okay? Okay, my next problem, x to the second power minus 2x minus 5 equals 0. X to the second power minus 2x minus 5 equals 0. So 2 solutions. A, B, C. Again, on a normal day, you're equal to 0. You'd apply the discriminant. You get an irrational decimal, so you have to use quadratic formula. But today, with complete the square, we get rid of the C. Bring it over here because I want a new C. Okay. Now make a parentheses equals 5, put 1x squared. Even if that's not a 1, you put 1x squared. Since it matches, you're good to just drop the rest of it and then go find yourself a C. Okay, so b divided by 2 to the second. So b would be negative 2. That's negative 1 to the second. And then negative 1 times itself is 1. Okay. Okay, so you brought a 1 in. You don't have anything there, so it's just 1, okay, that you're going to add over here to your 5. That's going to be 6. Now on the other side, I'm going to factor it. Okay? So 1 times 1 is 1, positive, so the sign's got to be a match. They have to add to negative 2, the factors do. So I want to probably keep them negative, negative, then 1, 1. And what do you know? That adds to negative 2. Okay, you don't need the 1. X minus 1 minus 1. So that is x minus 1 to the second equals 6. Now bring in the h. And bring in your table and put x minus 1 on each side. Square root of 6. Okay, 6 doesn't divide by 4, so I guess that's it. That's a prime square root, so we just put square root 6 and then square root of 6 with the negative in front of it. Okay. So you plus 1, but you put it behind because you can't, if there's a square root, you can't add anything. You just keep it as the square root of 6 plus 1. And then likewise over here, that's going to be the square root of 6 with the negative in front plus 1. Okay, those are your solutions. Okay, next problem. A, B, that's another B, that's a C. So we want to keep the C over there. It's a B, we got to move over here. So we have 1x to the second minus 4x equals negative 1. Okay, now you make a parentheses with equal negative 1, and you always put 1x squared there. And that matches, so I'm good to drop the minus 4x. That's A, that's B, and I have to find my own C. Okay, so B divided by 2 to the second, so negative 4. Divided by 2 is negative 2 to the second, and then taking negative 2 times itself results in 4. Okay, then I'm going to go put that 4 somewhere off in La La Land. I don't have anything right there, so I'm just adding 4 then to the other side. I brought in a 4 here and a 4 here. Okay. Then your table. 1 times 4 is 4, positive. Okay. Okay, so 2, 2. Because you're trying to add to negative 4, so we want them as negatives. Okay. So there you have it. So you can ditch your 1 and rewrite it in factored form. That's going to be 3. So x minus 2, negative 1 plus 4 is. So we now have x minus 2 to the second equals 3. Now replace that with h. H to the second equals 3. Then when you're bringing in h, you know you got to later bring back the x minus 2. Okay. So there's 2 answers we have to find for x. Square root of 3 is prime. You can't divide it by anything, so you just leave it. Okay. Square root of 3, and then square root of 3 with the negative in front. Then we add 2, but we come around behind because I can't add a number not in a square root to a number with a square root. So that is just going to be the square root of 3 plus 2. And over here we get the same thing. Okay. That's going to be negative square root of 3 plus 2. Okay, next example, 3x to the second power minus 12x plus 6 equals 0. So you got A, B, and C, but you want to move your C out of here. So you have 3x to the second minus 12x equals negative 6. Now we get a little bit of a change here. Guys, 1x squared is what you drop, but those don't match. So guess what you're going to do? You're going to go up and divide these by 3. I'm going to kick 3 out. Now you have 1x squared. You don't, by the way, 3 has to go out. Minus 4x means it doesn't just vanish. And now we're good to find a C. Again, that should not be applied till you have 1x squared. So b over 2 to the second. b is negative 4 divided by 2 to the second. That's going to be negative 2 to the second. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. Okay. So again, I'll put 4 off in La La Land, but I didn't bring in 4. 4 is now times by 3, and that's 12. So I add 12 to this. See, all the other problems I was just adding that because there wasn't that outside number. Okay. Negative 6 plus 12 is going to be 6. Now remember, this 3 is still going to be there. Okay. Now I just need to rewrite that into two parentheses, okay? We know we're going to have xx, then the rest of it, 1 times 4 is 4, positive 2 and 2. Signs have to match, but since it has, and it has to add to negative 4. Bam, that does it, okay? So minus 2 minus 2. So we now have 3x minus 2 to the second equals 6, and now we're going to bring in the h, okay? So we have 3h to the second equals 6. So x minus 2, x minus 2. So you divide each side by 3. That's 2. X to the second equals 2. Okay, square root of 2. Now 2 ain't in any of these square roots, and it's too small to divide by any of them, so you're just keeping it as the square root of 2. Okay, so again, you would plus 2, but put it after the square root number. So I just put square root of 2 plus 2. And remember to put the negative on that one. Plus 2, negative square root of 2 plus 2. That's completing the square. Okay, I'm going to do one more. 2x to the second power plus 2x minus 5 equals x to the second. A, B, C, A. Well, we've got to do a couple things. First off, we want the a's and b's over here. Then we want the c over there, so plus 5, and we'll just put 5 over there. So I rewrite it. Got 1x squared, I like that, plus 2x, and then the 5 goes over here. Okay. And again, when you complete the square, you're going to need these setups, okay? Over on the left. Oh, that's kind of like your workspace. And this will be where I get my answers from the table. This is just splitting it. And eventually b over 2 squared and a t-chart. Okay, if you want to set, really after you get your a's and b's aligned, if you want to set that up, and that up, be my guess. Might be better that way. Once you get your A and B on one side and the C on the other, just write B divided by 2 to the second. Then make your table for factoring the perfect square trinomial, and then another table when you bring to manipulate your H. Okay, so I make a parentheses, and 1x squared always goes there, and that's exactly what I have, so plus 2x. I have to find my own c, okay? So b is 2, 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, now I brought in a 1, there's nothing right there where my pencil is, so it's just 1 I plus to my 5. And unlike y plus 1 where I have to get rid of it, 5 plus 1 I want to eat that up, that's 6, okay? Then 1 times 1 is 1. Signs would match, but since they have to add to positive 2, they probably need to match as two positives. Okay, 1 and 1, bam. Okay. Okay, your A is 1, so you can get rid of that. X plus 1, get rid of it means it's just x squared, so I can see it as x, 1, 1, and so forth. Now, x plus 1 to the second equals 6, and then let's bring in our h. H to the second equals 6. Square root of 6, not a perfect square. The only thing I could possibly divide it by is 4, but it divides into a decimal, so I keep the 6 in its square root. Remember to put the negative in front of it on that side. So we minus 1, and just put it afterwards, so we would have the square root of 6 minus 1. And this would be negative square root 6, still minus 1 though. Okay, and those are your two answers. They're complex solutions. Not complex, but just complicated solutions.